Thank you guys for tuning back in to 89.8 with me, Drew Zelk, the host. And today is another episode of Gender Wednesday. Today we will be discussing stereotypic gender roles. Why were they needed and are they still needed today? So before we get into everything, let's just get, what were stereotypic gender roles? So, society has ideas for how each gender should dress, act, behave, with men being, more muscular, strong, less emotional, and women, being nurturing, caring, more emotional, stuff like that. And I'm sure we've all experienced, different types of, gender stereotyping that has affected each and every one of us. And have we really questioned why, that's still a thing? Um, you know, Personally, I never thought it was needed, but the thinking has never changed. But the main points of how gender stereotypes affect people are number one, personality traits. Like I said, women are supposed to be accommodating and emotional. It's okay for them to cry. They're supposed to be where you need them. And men are supposed to be self confident and strong. They're supposed to believe everything they do is right, um, act a certain way, be a certain way, be strong, be, the support to women. Women need men, according to some with that. I don't believe that. And then the second is domestic behaviors. Women will, cook and clean. That whole jokes about, oh, women are always in the kitchen or they should always be cleaning. And then men will take care of the finances and do the handiwork, like, oh, women shouldn't be able to do that. These are all stereotypes that have affected each and every one of us in our day to day lives at some point. Another one is occupations, like how women should be nurses, you know, how men should be engineers and doctors and go, succeed financially and be way better off. And then lastly is, physical appearance. Physical appearance. Women are held at a much higher standard of how they should be, thin and fit and beautiful, long hair, and men are supposed to be, strong and tall and tough and, masculine as it is. And, we've all faced those, discriminations, as I call it, from, not meeting those stereotypes that were made. We've all felt not confident in our appearance, our job, who we are because we're afraid of being judged these ways. And it's just not fair. Personally, these were never needed in the first place. They were conditioned, to be believed that way. It started in the early 1900s with Freud and his thought of how biology defines who we are. You may believe that, but that doesn't mean you can't express yourself. And that's what this stereotyping really hinders, is the ability for one to express themselves in a way that they want to be and who they really are, because they are afraid of, the consequences that will come with them. And secondly, that behaviors become normalized over the years, whether it's through television or magazines or movies, of how, you stereotype women on how, what pretty is, what people should be doing certain occupations, who should be doing certain things like cooking, cleaning, making money. In this world we try to put people down more than empower them. And that starts with this gender stereotyping. It's that. And a fun fact is the color pink used to be very fashionable, and George Washington, the first president of the United States, actually had a pink suit coat that he wore, and he was considered, one of the fashionistas of his time, a fashion person, and women used to wear blue. So it shows how those can change and how, it's never a certain thing that it should be. And it's kind of sad to see generations continue to deal with those when the thinking hasn't changed, but people have changed over that time. Um, and mainly these stereotypes were a thing to keep men in power and to limit others because it's coming from a time where, men had the power in the world and, people just went with how things were. You don't change what's not quote unquote wrong according to some. And, these stereotypes, some would say they were needed, but they really weren't. They just didn't empower others like they should have. They empowered men, but they didn't really empower anybody else of gender, race, any of that. And it's kind of sad to see how different things could be considering what they could have been. And that leads to, different gender stereotypes with, men being the breadwinners. Statistically, according to research, men for the same job can make up to 20% more. And the only difference is they can be a man versus a woman. And those stereotypes still exist today. And we do not need them now. We need the best candidate for positions. We need the best person for things. Whether you're male, female, however you identify, we need to be open and honest with them and respect everybody. And we have different guests email in with different stories. We have stories of people getting treated or jokes that everybody's heard in the workplace, like the women in the kitchen, or how certain bodies of men or women are more sexualized than others because that's how they should look. We have so many stories that come in from our viewers showing those, and it's kind of sickening that these stereotypes still do exist in this world today. Um, and then how can we fight these gender stereotypes? We can point it out. A lot of people like to go with the flow or, do a half laugh at a joke, even though they don't think it's funny, but all they're doing is empowering that person and those people to continue to stereotype women, men, whatever for that. So, you want to point it out, whether it's on TV and you can't change it, you still want to show that, oh, that's not right. You know, whether things change now or towards the future, those are some things you can do. And, be an example, show that it's not right. Lead by how you want to lead. Be a role model. If you don't want it done to, like, look at your kids, like, I'm sure many dads and males who were, back then, you wouldn't want your daughter treated like that. So, and then, speak up. Don't allow others to continue to do their ways on you. Um, you want to stand up for others that are expressing themselves because that's the biggest way you can support them to continue expressing themselves how they are, even facing these discriminations of the gender stereotypical roles that society has given them. Um, so before we take our break here on stereotypes, we're gonna read another fan mail letter of how this woman dealing with this in the workplace, and so our viewer Shayna is dealing with discrimination and gender stereotyping in the workplace. She works in a factory, and a lot of men, talk a certain way and they act a certain way, and they, don't respect her there because she's a woman. And ways she can do it is, prove them, gain things. These stereotypes don't mean anything. A man versus a woman should be somewhere versus shouldn't. These things just shouldn't exist. Um, and they're meant to just disempower people, but really we should be empowering everybody to be who they want to be, and support and live and be free. And we'll always support you, Shauna, here at the radio station. And we hope others can get empowered from this segment also. So thank you guys. I'll catch you after the break.